So welcome everyone to this online event, which we organized to mark the changes to the IAAP Health Psychology Division Board, and also to celebrate the IAAP Distinguished Contributions Award, which has been bestowed on our colleague Sonja Lipke. So for those people who don't know me, my name is John DeWitt, and I'm a health and social psychologist, but currently a professor of interdisciplinary social science at Utrecht University. And as the program says, I'm the outgoing secretarian with that hat. I took it upon me to host these proceedings, if you will, which probably mostly means that I'm looking after time, but with all the colleagues, they don't need any prodding in terms of the time. They're also experienced in terms of speaking. And then I think one other thing I can say about myself, I'm also the incoming president-elect of our division. So just a few words about our board. As other members of IAAP, we are of course very much committed to and passionate about promoting the science and application of psychology in general, but then in health psychology in particular. And as part of that, we want to sort of also make sure and promote that there's opportunities to engage with the broader membership of the division, and that's why we opted to organize this online event. Because normally there would have been an awards ceremony at the International Congress of Applied Psychology, the ICAP meeting, and there we would also have had the handover of the board roles. But unfortunately, there will not be an ICAP meeting until 2026, which is a bit far into our calendar. So we thought we better organize something nice now and have an opportunity to celebrate and to enjoy also a bit more of an informal conversation at the end. Well, you will have already seen today's program. So since it's all there, I'm not going to rehash it, and I think I'm going to ask Genevieve to start the video that has been shared by Professor Christine Roland-Lévy, who is the president, and I believe outgoing president and incoming past president of the International Association of Applied Psychology. She could not be here with us because she had other obligations, but she sent us a video. So take it away, Genevieve.
Hello, everyone, dear friends and dear colleagues. Not long ago, IAAP celebrated Division 8 is celebrating the term of the current health psychology team. I wish to thank the outgoing president, Professor Sonja Lipke. Many thanks for a great accomplishment during these difficult years of COVID. And welcome to the new team. Welcome to the new president, Professor Yikin Kan, and the new Secretary General, Adriana, as well as the communication officer, Professor Carolina, or pronounce it the way you want. For today, I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best for this celebration, but I also wish you all the best for the coming 4 years. Those 4 years will end with our ICAP in 2026 in Florence, Italy, as unfortunately we had to cancel the ICAP in Beijing, which was due to take place in 2022/2023, but due to COVID situation, it's too difficult to be able to plan anything. So unfortunately, we will not be able to go to China. Now, I wish you the best for the future, the best of hope, and a bright 4 years, both for Division 8 and for IAAP, and a very nice day. Bye-bye, enjoy.
It almost feels as if Christine is with us. I felt the inclination to thank her, which we've done via email before. So it's very very nice of her to send this video. So thanks, Christine. I'm going to say it again. So we've started, and now I think it is my sort of ambivalent pleasure to hand over to Professor Urte Scholz at the University of Zurich, because Urte is our outgoing past president, and that really means you're leaving us. So yeah, so it leaves you the opportunity to do other things, but of course it leaves us without you, Urte. So, and that partir c'est mourir un peu, as they say in France, but I'm sure we'll stay in touch. So it will only be metaphorically, I hope. So I'm very, very happy to hand over to you.
Thank you, John. And, you know, I'm very confident that you will be able to cope with my leaving the board. But let me say start with saying that it's really a great honor for me to speak today at this handover, albeit only virtually. I'd rather see you all in person, of course. But, you know, it's a particular honor for me because this has been a very long IAAP Division 8 journey for me personally, because I started working in the board in 2006, which is unbelievable, 16 years ago. So in 2006, I had the honor to be the secretary of the Division 8. And then in 2010, I had the honor of being elected president-elect. In 2014, I was then president, and since 2018, I'm past president. And during this very long time of being a member of the board, I did not only have the chance to work with several absolutely amazing and inspiring and adorable people, such as Ralf Schwarzer, Alex Wuschinska, Esther Greenglass, and so many more. But I was also lucky to contribute to the division's development. And in my view, really, the IAAP and also Division 8 have undergone several substantial improvements towards focus and mission and also professionalization. And I think that's very good and reassuring to see. And already with Sonja, for example, taking over as president, and now Yikun, and in the future, John, I think that's the best indication that this division is still rising and always able to stay on top of the recent developments. Thus, I'm very, very confident that this development will continue, given all the stellar people now on the board. And of course, not to forget to mention our wonderful members of Division 8. And I'm already looking forward to meeting you all again in 4 years in the next conference that will hopefully be in person. You know, the only thing that I really regret in a way is that I didn't listen enough to Ralf, and I know that he will be very happy to hear this probably. But Ralf was always the best picture taker. And had I listened more to Ralf and taken more pictures, I would have been able to show you in a presentation now my journey of Division 8 with some photographs. And I only found very few, so it wouldn't really make a nice presentation. So maybe as a lesson learned that I now give to you for the next in-person meeting, please take enough pictures and maybe also take some pictures of the board meetings that are virtually, just for purpose of remembrance of the good times and the productive collaborations we all had and you will be having. So thank you so much for everything. It's really an honor and pleasure, and I'm so happy that I've been part of this, and I'm very confident that this will be, as I said, a further rising development of the Division 8 with all you now in charge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Orte, for your very warm words, your kind words, and for the confidence in us, but in particular also for all the work that you've done for Division 8. And thank you also for including the broader membership of the division, which I'd also like to welcome all the members of Division 8 and beyond who've been able to join us today. So very warm welcome to you all. And now it is my pleasure to hand over to the future, I suppose. Because now our next speaker is Yichen Gan, our incoming president, who will deliver her presidential address. So we've been working together already for a couple of years. I'm very much looking forward to your address and working with you over the next couple of years, Yichen. Can I hand over to you?
Yes, thank you, John. Yeah, so I try to be more formal. And dear IAAP presidents, dear members of the IAAP Division 8 Health Psychology and interested colleagues in health psychology, on behalf of the new board of IAAP Division 8, I would like to send our sincere regards to you. Although it's a little bit repeated information, but I will start by introducing our key members. First, I'm indebted to Professor Ralph Rather, Professor Alexandra Lustinska, Professor Uta Scholz, and Professor Sonia Lipke, the remarkable leaders and role models who preceded me in this presidency and whose ideas and input shaped many of the projects that the division is currently working on. And I would also like to welcome our newly elected president-elect, Professor John DeWitt, and our two new board members, Professor Adriana Balben as the secretary and Professor Carolina Zerachter as the communication officer. IAAP Division 8 seeks to advance contributions of health psychology to the understanding of health and illness through basic and clinical research, education, and service activities. It also encourages the integration of biomedical information about health and illness with current psychological knowledge. We attempt to inform the psychological and biomedical community, as well as the general public, about the results of current research and service activities in this area. So for the upcoming years, the main focus of our division is to bring together different perspectives from traditional health behavior change theories, while focusing on different continents, countries, and cultures by comparing different backgrounds to enable mutual learning. We, the members, communicate and get involved in the division in various ways. Every 2 months, like we collect information on members' achievements and academic activities to publish our e-news. And we also hold yearly webinars to discuss research issues and the methodology under the spotlight of the scientific community. Furthermore, our home journal, Applied Psychology, Health and Well-Being, is a peer-reviewed outlet for the scholarly dissemination of the scientific findings and the practical applications in the domain of health and well-being. Its mission is to deliver outstanding articles for its readers, presenting the latest and best data and practice in the application of psychology to the promotion of well-being and optimal human functioning. And this journal, has recently achieved a large increase in its impact factor. And we have yearly special issues that aim at reflecting current topics in health psychology. The COVID-19 pandemic has had both negative and positive effects on health psychologists community for the past 3 years. This pandemic and the subsequent Russian-Ukraine war has posed serious threats to the life and livelihood worldwide. in the context of the economic restructuring of the countries and the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, the complexity and the uncertainty of the situation have brought many new challenges to our people, and the market competition has become more intense. So stress has become a common problem faced by people worldwide. However, one of the positive impacts of the pandemic, I think, is the underscoring of the central role of health psychology in dealing with these public health and geopolitical disasters. This crisis opened the eyes of the society to the scarcity of psychological aid resources and emphasized the imperativeness of developing a new, efficient, and easily accessible intervention paradigm for clinical and health psychology. Therefore, we can say that the pandemic could be used as an opportunity to accelerate paradigm changes. In this way, current technology could be harnessed to promote people's mental health, prevent psychological crisis, and enhance health management and awareness. So many new scientific methods have emerged that can enrich health psychology, including those related to big data, precision intervention, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Our home journal has also responded to the challenges evoked by the COVID-19 pandemic and also the Russian-Ukraine war in a timely manner, altering its editorial policies accordingly and published special issues. So in conclusion, I'm greatly honored for the opportunity to serve as the president in this coming challenging year. We are joining a society that, although steeped in tradition, was born of change. In compliance with the context in which it was born, the IAAP Division 8 will continue to adapt and evolve in response to the changing world and the landscape of health psychology, promoting mental health and health behaviors for people globally. So I encourage you to take advantage of these opportunities within this society to network, publish, and get involved in our division. Thank you. That's all I want to say.
And thank you very much, Yu-Chen, Professor Gan. Thank you very much for sharing your vision on Division 8 and stressing the importance of us being a global organization and inclusive, and also us being an adaptive organization and an adaptive domain that responds to the things that are happening around us. Thanks for reminding us of that. And thanks also for reminding us of the importance of our journal in the field. And welcome, bienvenue to everyone who's joined us over the last couple of minutes. Very welcome to our online event. And now we're going to turn to a different part of our meeting, and as we're going to focus on the IAAP Distinguished Contributions Award recipient. Our currently past president, previously our president, Sonja Lipke, has been bestowed that honor. Very many congratulations to that well-deserved honor. Sonja, you're very active. You make many contributions to applied health psychology and applied psychology more broadly, and linking us with the science, but ensuring also that we are relevant to policy and practice. So congratulations. But the floor is actually yours. So I hand over to you to share your thoughts.
Okay, thank you very much. Also for everyone for sharing these nice words with us and laying the basis for my introduction now. So on the one side, I would like to celebrate with you that I received this award, which was already mentioned. And on the other side, I would like to give you some insights into what I've done in the past and what I currently do. And of course, also what happened during the last 4 years when we met for the last time in Montreal for the last IAAP meeting. And I have great memories of that meeting because it was one of the last meetings prior to the Corona pandemic. But actually, in the meantime, there were different other events which were not just positive. So some were already mentioned, and we can, of course, also think of natural disasters. And I have just taken 2 examples here. So the world around us is really changing, and we really have to think about this also in a health psychological way. And of course, everyone is very aware of the COVID-19 pandemic, which was already mentioned by Yi-Chun Gan, that on the one side, we saw all these very negative effects, but also sometimes we can see some positive outcomes. And of course, that's really important that we have some benefit finding in the whole procedure as well. Currently, we face the already mentioned war within Europe. And of course, if we think about all these challenges, we also have to think about the health and well-being of the individuals around the world. So I would like to remind you on the theoretical backdrop, which I introduced when we met in Montreal, which is the CAM model. And on the one side, it is a typical social cognitive theory. And on the other side, it combines different behaviors. So on the one side, we have behaviors like physical activity, and on the other side, nutrition. And of course, we can also then think of that people may do these behaviors because they want to improve their individual behavior and health. But of course, they may also be motivated by protecting the environment or adapting to a changing environment with, changing climate and all these challenges as well. Already 4 years ago, we talked about the SDGs, so the Sustainable Development Goals. And one of these goals is the number 3 with good health and well-being. And people really strive for that. So this can be a high-level goal. But if we extend our view on this, of course, we can also think of other examples. So here we can think of, for example, about active transportation in terms of promoting individual health, but also the planetary health. So one concept that combines everything here is One Health. Maybe you've heard about this. And before I give you my suggestions for where we should head for, is that we should take into consideration not just the individual, but also the environment and also animals, not just the animals that we aim to eat or use some parts of them, but rather animals in our environment, which those also suffer. And we have to make sure that animals survive as well as we aim to survive in a changing environment. So my suggestions for the call for action in the future is that we should think broader also within health psychology and answer the question, how can we as psychologists help the individual in its environment? There are different aspects which I think are really important for us as health psychologists, not just in terms of helping the individuals, but also in collaboration with other psychological areas. So for example, environmental psychology, and we can help them with our evidences regarding behavior change techniques, and questions that arise are, for example, how can these behavior change techniques also be transferred to environmental protection and prevent further global warming? But of course, we should also think more of clinical phenomena. So the question that comes to mind is, if people have to cope with climate change, what can we contribute in terms of behavior and emotional coping? And one important question is how to cope effectively to sustain the world that is around us. So not just continue like we acted before, and then in 50 years or so, many areas around the world are not usable anymore for us, but rather that we try to help with our knowledge and our skills to really protect the environment. So my call for action would also be to work more holistically, not only in silos. So we are very good in terms of predicting and changing single behaviors, but also to change different behaviors in orchestration, but of us also to think about different individuals in groups or between countries, and to test how we can actually improve in helping the different groups also on an individualistic basis, and yeah, taking all the needs into account. And with that, yeah, I would like to thank you all for appreciating my scientific contribution, also with my previous work in the last years, and also with developing my own theory over the past decades. And I really hope that this can inspire the different work groups to actually extend their work also beyond just the individual and the individual behavior. Thank you very much. I'm very thankful and grateful. And with that, I hand over back to John.
And thank you very much. Yeah, yes. Applause first. Thank you, Carolina, for reminding me of that. And thank you very much, Sonia, for your inspiring talk and sort of putting before us the challenge of working more broadly, globally, looking holistically, as you said, taking into account that we are people in environments, and even reaching out to what's currently being called planetary health, where we look after all aspects of our planet. So I suppose that's a challenging research agenda for yourself, which you involve, I suppose, the Division 8 as well. I think there's a lot of things for us to think about. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
So from the program, and also from what Christine Roland-Lévy was saying, you would have already known that we have new members joining the board, who joined the board over the last period of time since late 2021, and we are very pleased that Professor Adriana Baban at Babeș-Bolyai University in Cluj-Napoca has joined us, and I'm hoping it's somewhere close to how you would pronounce it, Adriana, and also that Professor Carolina Zarichta, and again I hope it's sort of okay, from SWPS, University of Social Sciences and Humanities in Wrocław in Poland, have joined us. So we're looking forward to hearing from Adriana and then from Carolina. So can I hand over to you first, Adriana, and very welcome again on the Division 8 board.
Yes, thank you very much. You pronounce very well also my name and also the name of the university, Babeș-Bolyai. Also for us, sometimes it's difficult to pronounce because it's a combination of a Romanian and Hungarian name, but we learn. So I admire your pronunciation. You was very good. So dear friends and dear colleagues, I am very pleased to be with you here, to be in this board. I can say friends because I remember when I started 32 years ago to begin to work on health psychology, I met some of you, and that helped me a lot, especially because I came from a time when the international connection were really absent. So I think that this can be also a good way to go further with a young member of 8th Division, to try to connect them and to help them, because sometimes they need really help and support to to be together with colleagues and with mentors and with professors. For me and for other colleagues who worked very well. So I'm sure that also for other people will be the same. And I was glad to see, I don't know if it's still here, Professor Remy. It was such a surprise. And I said, look, we are really a small world. Because I met Professor Remy, I think that more than 10 years ago in my department. He had together with some of my colleagues a program on or a project on organizational yes, hi. So it was a surprise to see him after 10 years. So this really shows that we are a community where, based on our professional interests, we are creating opportunities to be together, to work together. So I am the new secretary of Division 8. What I can say is that I cannot promise you that I will be as good as John was, because I know that he made a great job. But I promise that I will I promise that I really understood that I have a very good model on how he worked, and I will ask advice not only from John but also for all members of the committee to work efficiently for this division. I thought before I really didn't prepare that kind of formal speech, because I said, depending on on what we are talking here, I will say my thought. And also it was very nice to see and to discover that the previous speakers mentioned things to which I also thought. So globalization, differences. So I thought that we are coming from the same intellectual and professional and spiritual families, because we didn't know what we will say about this event. So as a secretary, I also thought that I will try to promote of course, applied research and activities on health psychology, especially from a macro and mesosocial perspective. We all know that individual is very important, but me coming, of course, I already forgot what was happening in Romania and on this part of the world, how it was more than 30 years ago. But coming from this part of the world, I know very well what mean context, macro social context and mesosocial context. Of course, within individuals are trying to cope on different situations. And during last events, let's say last 2 or 3 events, I mean crisis, economic crisis, or pandemia, COVID pandemia, this awful war, are showing us that it's very important to look to the world, what is happening in this world in which we are living. So, and also in my research, I try to understand why in Romania people refuse, or they were hesitant to accept the vaccination anti-COVID. We had a very low level of vaccination acceptance. Why people don't trust healthcare system? Why they don't trust healthcare providers? Because we cannot just look to behavior. We know that it's very important, but we cannot miss the context, because context can give us a very important clue to understand why they are delaying asking for prevention services or for cure services till the last moment. And I'm also still trying to understand, but I know by sure now that we can do this only looking to the context. So I'm also very strong on bringing arguments that we need an ecological perspective on health, on health issues, on how we are looking to what people are doing, because otherwise we can do a mistake of saying blaming the victim. I don't know. I don't want to say that people in some context they don't have self-agency to do something, but still they are shaped. They are influenced by the context. So we need this ecological perspective on health issues of individual, of group, of the communities. And also, as also the previous speaker said, it's so important now, especially these tragic events in the last 2 years show us that it's so important to look to the reality and to the main important issues of the reality. I think that everyone as an individual will learn during these 2 years that so many things which we thought that it's very important. We cannot live without that. And these 2 years and pandemic and the event and the war show us that in fact there are many more other issues more important. So I think that we should address it. So as a secretary, I will do my best to inform members of the activity of the Division 8, to connect members of the division, not only of Division 8, but perhaps also of Division 8 with other divisions, and also to connect with other professional societies. I'm sure that there is no competition. There are so many space under the sun, as we are saying in Romania. So we are having space to cooperate, to work together, and we see that we know each other from other circumstances where we cooperate within EHPS, APA, BPS, and other societies. So I hope that we will do also in the future on this way. I will also encourage members of the division to share their experience and expertise through papers, through the activities, meaning seminars, workshop, training, and of course to attend different conferences. Of course, very important is the conferences of this society, but the next one, it will be only in 2026. But till then, there will be other important conferences relevant for health. So I hope that we will see each other in Bratislava. I hope that we'll see each other in Bremen, and to other public health, behavioral medicine conferences, and everywhere we can share our experience and to learn each other. So I hope that I didn't take too much from saying my word. So thank you for inviting me to be here, and I hope that I will do my best in the role of secretary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adriana, also for your modesty. I'm sure you'll be an excellent secretary, and thank you very much for drawing attention to the importance of working at different ecological levels, which I think for us psychologists is quite important to engage with. And thank you also for stressing the importance of working together across organizations and across continents again. So thanks very much. And now it's my pleasure to hand over to our new communications officer. Carolina, can I give the floor to you?
Yes, thank you, John. First off, I want to thank you for having me. I'm very pleased to be a part of Division 8 and really honored to be a part of board. I want to say something more about my role as a communication officer and maybe tell really briefly about the ways of communication that we have with the members. So maybe I can use our event, our online event, to say something more about this. So my role as a communication officer is to keep the members updated with ongoing and planned events, important news, interesting things that the board or other members want to share. So if you as a member have anything that you find important or interesting, maybe your publication, maybe some upcoming valuable webinar or conference, and you want to spread it further to the Division 8 members, don't hesitate to contact me. As for now, we have 3 main ways of communication. The e-news that were already mentioned by Professor Ichingan. We also have our Division 8 webpage and the Division's Facebook page. Every once in a while, all members would get an email from me about anything they want to share with other members through our webpage, Facebook page, or the e-news. Members can write to me anytime though. I'll be glad to receive messages and share the news regularly. Also, each board member will post something interesting from time to time, so be sure to visit our webpage, Facebook page, and interact with other members there. I hope we all, as members of Division 8, will use our platforms more often to communicate with one another. And as a communication officer, I'll do my best to make it easier for us. Thank you very much.
Sorry. And thank you very much, Carolina. You're, of course, you have a really important role in our board. So thank you very much for taking that on. And that also gives me the opportunity again to thank the members who've been able to join. And for us as a division, it's really important that we can find ways to make sure that you feel included and that you feel engaged in the work of the division. So please let us also know what you think would work for you. So we'll try and ask for that from time to time as well. But for now, again, thank you for having joined us. Which brings us to the last bit of this afternoon, which is we transition into a more informal opportunity, but not before we've had an opportunity to hear from two key members of Division 8 who've played a really critical role in the division. You've heard their names mentioned already multiple times, and I'm sure most, if not all of us, know them personally. So Professor Alexandra Lushinska and Professor Ralph Schwarzer, who were also closely involved in the initiative to nominate Sonja Lipke for the Distinguished Contributions Award, together with Professor Yuchen Gan, Professor Ute Scholz, and I had the honor to be involved myself as well. So Alex, Ralph, would you like to say something? Of course, we hope you will. So Alex, can I hand over to you first?
Okay, thank you. I have no speech prepared, but following Professor Ute Scholz comments at the beginning, I would like to say that I think very fondly about Professor Esther Greenglass, who is not here with us. But for many years, I think Esther was a great role model for many women researchers, and her work and her attitude and her support for many of us was very inspirational and very important. So I would like to thank Professor Esther Greenglass for this kind of work at from the bottom-up perspective to promote and help and invest in many young women to support us to make the world a better place through our research. So that's one of the issues that I would like to raise, and I'm happy to hand over to Ralph. Certainly has many nice anecdotes to tell.
But not before we thank you, Alex, and also for reminding us that, of course, much of what we do is about making the world a better place, which, thank you very much for that. Ralph, sorry to interrupt.
I also did not prepare any statement because, well, I'm open to take questions. But anyway, when I look at this group here, it's so nice to have this group together. I must say there are so many coincidences that help create this kind of group over time. I believe in chaos theory. So they're just chances, they're just coincidences that create all this. If I think back, I'm a kind of historian. I'm the oldest one here, so I'm the historian. I'm a member of IAAP since 1982, at the first meeting that I attended in Scotland then. And well, at that time, there was no health psychology. There was no division, and there was almost no health psychology in Europe. In Europe, it started about 1986 with a meeting in Tilburg, the Netherlands. One of the key players there was Stan Maas. And Stan Maas, at the same time, joined up with Brian Oldenburg from Australia, and they created a small group within IAAP, and they called this a division. And that's how it developed in the 1980s. And then I think in the late 80s or so, they approached me whether I want to become a member of this division, and I agreed. And then by 2002, I became the president. And as you know, this is a 12-year engagement. So I was able to monitor the history for a long time, and I helped to create the network that we see partly here on the screen now today. So that was a lot of fun, by the way. And the IAAP Treasurer and Secretary Ray Fowler approached me in 2007 and asked me whether I could found a new journal. And after some time, I decided to do this. And that's why we have today a very nice journal, which is closely linked to this division. So you see, there are so many coincidences that, and one can just imagine if one or the other point would not have happened, or one of these encounters would have happened, then probably the world would look very different today. So I'm very happy to be with you here again, and hope to see you one day, no later than in Florence next time.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Very much looking forward to meeting again, because I believe that the last time you and I met was somewhere in Sydney quite a while ago. And I think other people might want to chip in as well, but certainly I would like to thank you for all you've done for not only for the division and the journal, but I would say for and the association, but for health psychology, much more in general in Europe and globally. And it's nice that you sort of mention, because it's obvious that there is a lot of who's around here is in many ways related to you. And it's nice that it's a coincidence, because it also could have been by design, almost. Things coincidentally, the pieces of the puzzle seem to have fallen together quite nicely. So thanks a lot, Ralph. So this brings us almost at the end of the formal proceedings, but not before we have sort of done a virtual toast. I was so adamant I was going to get something to toast, but then I couldn't get out of the chair without sort of being noticeable. So I would raise a toast on Sonja Lipke as the recipient of the Distinguished Contributions Award of the IAAP, but also on the new members who've joined the board, the people who've been past members of the board, and in particular, the board membership and everyone else I might now be forgetting. Just basically a toast to us and those who are dear to us. And thank you again for joining.
I would suggest we toast on everyone.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.